Boy, I tell you, if it ain't one thing, it's another. I swear. Man.
Yo, it's your favorite Florida man in the van, and you already know I'm on a mission to save 50 bands, man. But on this day, I had my mind set on chasing sunsets. I was on my way to St. Pete Beach to go catch a vibe and catch a sunset, man, but I caught a flat tire. Life be lifing sometimes. Sometimes things don't go as planned, but hey, we adapt and we adjust, man. We take everything, every obstacle, and we roll with it. So if you don't know how to change a flat tire, today you gonna learn. This is a prime example of if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. As a king, I think it's mandatory that you have to have tools in your car. You ain't gotta be no mechanic, and you ain't really gotta know shit about shit, but at least you gotta have tools in your car. At the bare minimum, you gotta at least have a ratchet set, a breaker bar, and a jack, an aftermarket jack. Every vehicle comes with the tools that you need to change a flat, but those tools ain't the funnest to use. A lot of people don't know how to use them, and it can be very slow and time consuming. If you have your own tools, it saves you some time. So for instance, I'm using this ratchet and this extension to get to the spare tire, and even still, while using my own tools, it took me a little minute to get this spare tire out. So I sped up the video because I was struggling. I ain't gonna lie. I was readjusting, had to get up, get down. Every time I thought I had the tire low enough to get it off, I just didn't have it low enough.
So I took my time with it. I wasn't mad. I wasn't really frustrated throughout this whole process. And I almost didn't record this whole process, but my cousin was in the back of my head, man. That man said, everything is content. Stop leaving your camera down.
When it comes time to jack up the vehicle, you want to jack it up just to take weight off of that wheel. You don't want to get that wheel off the ground right away because you want to leave it on the ground to have some more friction. That way you can break the bolt on the rim, on the wheel. So this is me just jacking the vehicle up. About to get my trusty jack stand to make sure, safety first, always.
You know, most people don't do things themselves because of fear of what can go wrong. But if you get the right tools and do enough research, you'll have the confidence to get anything done. Right here, I'm taking the top part off of the jack so that I can break these bolts. Taking the top part off the jack and putting it over the ratchet gives you more leverage and makes it easier. Once you get the bolts broken, you can lift up the jack. You can jack up the car or the vehicle higher off the ground to get the wheel completely off the ground now. At this point, you want it completely off the ground. You're going to take all the bolts off like this and put your bolts to the side of you all together. You don't want to just throw the bolts everywhere. You know, organization is key to being less stressed out. Once you got all the bolts off, it's when you're going to take off that rim, take off that wheel. It really don't take a whole lot of muscle to do this, to get this done, man. And right here is where I inspected to see what happened. I'm trying to figure out where there's a nail, if there's a nail, and what it is. And then, boom, sure enough, right at the bottom, there's a nail or whatever it is. At this moment, I really don't know what it is exactly. I just know I see the problem. I see the culprit. So time to get that thing out. This is sped up, man. I ain't gonna lie. I struggled. I haven't pulled out a nail in a long time, and I was sitting here fumbling. And yeah, we gonna say it took me some time to get it out. Struggling some more. Yep, boom. When I finally got it out, seen what it was, now I'm like, I bet, patch kit, perfect. Ooh, I got one patch kit left. Man, I got one patch kit left, and that thing came in clutch. So here I am working with the patch kit. If you don't know how patch kits work, first you need to push this tool into the hole to make the hole bigger, or make the hole, honestly, I don't even know. I guess make the hole bigger or big enough to fit the patch in. Or maybe even just, I don't know, get the edges right. This is me struggling my ass off. You see, I'm skinny, man. I don't weigh nothing. I'm figuring like, oh, you know what? Boom. That's when it clicked to me like, oh, hold up. There ain't no air in the tire. How can I put a hole in this? I don't got no back pressure. I don't got nothing fighting back against me. So I was like, you know what? Let me fill this up with air and see if I get it in now. And took me a couple more tries. It didn't go straight in, but boy, I was fighting with all my strength, man. Putting my weight down and everything. Boom, right there. You see that? That's where it went in. I got it. It was the air. I just needed some air. Now, it took me a long time to come to that conclusion, and I did get a little frustrated, but I mean, hey, I got there though. I figured it out. Sometimes you're going to go through some frustration, hitting your head a couple times before you realize what you need. All right, so once you get this tool in here, man, and you got this hole, you want to grab the patch. The patch is a stick. It looks like a little stick. It's very, very, very sticky. And that is pretty much what's gonna clog up the hole so that you could fill it up with air and, get back on the road. So the same tool you use to poke the hole in the tire, you're gonna stick the patch through the tool. There's a little opening in the tool specifically for you to put this patch. Me using my gloves like a dummy, trying to figure this out, it was sticking to the glove the whole time, and I finally just came to the realization that I need to take these gloves off because I'm not gonna get it. It keeps sticking to the glove. Take it off, goddammit. All right, take off my gloves. Went to put it in, and still took me a little ways, man. It's a tight hole, and the patch is a little thick. But once you get it in, you want it to go to a point where you got it even on both sides. Once it's even on both sides, now is where you really, really need to put some muscle into this and push this sticky patch into the hole to get the hole clogged up enough for it to hold air. Now, this takes some pressure, this takes some weight. This is an old patch kit that I had sitting in my van for a while. I ain't gonna lie. As you see, I only had one left, so I patched up a couple tires. And I went to push it in, I got it in, and when it comes time to take it out, you're supposed to twist the tool, and the tool is supposed to like rip or release the patch. And then when you pull out the patch or you pull out the tool, the patch is supposed to stay in the tire. I pulled it out and the patch stuck with the tool. I don't know if it was because the heat or what, but I thought I was dead. I thought it was done for. I thought I wasn't gonna be able to patch this tire. But then I seen right here that I could just split it open and try it again. So that's what we did, man. We split it open, made sure it was even. And we said, all right, bet, man. We're going to try this one more time. And if this don't work, then I'm going to just use the spare. I'm patching the tire so I don't have to use the spare, by the way. If you don't already peep what's going on. I got a spare wheel, spare tire right there. But I figured out the problem. And if I could just solve that problem right here, there's no need to use the spare. And there's no need to go to a tire shop. I got it in, ripped it out. And once you do that, there's going to be excess hanging over. You got to cut that excess off so it doesn't stick to the road and come right out when you pull off. And that's pretty much how you patch your tire. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. That's what comes with this van life, man. Van life, van life. Van life is dope. You just got to really be independent, man. You got to be ready to solve any problem that comes your way. You have to have tools on hand and you have to have skills, and you should most definitely do a lot of research to understand a lot of things, especially anything that you own, because everything and anything that you own, including your own body, needs maintenance. Everything needs maintenance. Everything's going to require fixing at some point, and you got to know this, man. And even though I didn't get to go see the sunset, man, I still got to enjoy a good, colorful sky, man. Not what I planned, but everything doesn't always go as planned, man. You just got to roll with it. So if you want any advice when it comes to living in a van, I'm going to say definitely have an air pump to fill up your tires with air. Have your own jack stand so that it'll be way easier to jack your van up. And have a battery charging kit, not just jumper cables. So if you have the battery charger kit, you don't got to wait on nobody to drive by and hopefully help you out. If you got a battery kit, you could just charge it yourself, get back on the road. All right, now it's time to put the wheel back on. And this is the part where everybody's so worried about doing it wrong and worried if they didn't put the wheel on tight enough or if the wheel's going to fly off when they get back on the road. It's not as crazy as a lot of people make it seem, or it's not as hard as everybody makes it seem. When you get the wheel back up and on where it needs to be, you want to push it back and you want to make sure the top and the bottom is even and flat. You want to make sure the whole rim is flat on the surface of the disc or drum. And when you're putting on the bolts that you took off, you're never going to go in a circle. You're always going to cross. So if you put one in on the left side, you're going to cross over and do one on the right side. You're never going to go to the one directly next to it. This is so that you pretty much tighten up the wheel evenly in a flat surface. I forget how to explain it, but this is how you take away the stress of wondering if your wheel's going to fall off. Never put it bolts on in a circle. Always put the bolts on going across, extra tight.
with the extension bar or a breaker bar. And that's pretty much it. The most amazing thing about this and the funniest thing about this is right before I found this flat tire, bro, I had just taken a nice shower, man. I was fresh, I was clean, I was ready for bed, man. And then boom, I had to sweat my ass off. It's your favorite Florida man in the van, and I'm out of here, man. Y'all stay tuned for the next updates on my debt and my savings goals, man. Coming to you ASAP. I got you. I promise. I swear. Peace.